Here we go. Here we go. We got another live video to do tonight, you guys. Some shit is popping off. So I had to jump back on here and talk to y'all tonight. Let me just get my sound situated. Let me just get my L situated. You heard what I'm saying. I appreciate everybody who taps in tonight. Appreciate everybody who watches this video on demand as well. All the support that comes to the channel. I appreciate it, man. All the new subscribers tapping in. I appreciate you guys coming in. Y'all know who I am. I'm your host, Mikey T, the movie star. About to light up, and we're going to get today's show started, man. We got to talk about some shit tonight. Appreciate everybody checking out that throwback Gilly the Kid interview as well. Major piece with Gilly the Kid, actually speaking on Dark Low to a certain extent, but Gilly kind of curved the interview question with Dark Low, which I could expect at that time. At that point in time, Dark Low was actually going through an open case. So I really couldn't expect any more than Gilly kind of curving that interview question. But I did get him to, give a positive story of ARAB. So go check that out. A major opportunity that Gilly the Kid presented to ARAB. Y'all got to go check that one out to hear it yourself. Wheezy PV, I appreciate you for tapping in, man. We got a hell of a show tonight, man. We have a hell of a show tonight. Shit is going crazy right now. Young Buck. I guess Young Buck wants to get in that ring, but Young Buck is pretty real about the situation, He knows stepping in the ring with 50, it could go one of two ways for him. It could go good or it could go bad. 50's a former, a Golden Gloves type guy, you know what I mean? He had the gold gloves back in the day and shit. 50 is known for his hands. Many people, both enemies and friends, have said 50 Cent is known for his hands. Queen's Flip and Benzino were getting into it today. Man, Benzino and Queen's Flip were getting into it today, and they were talking about just that. Benzino was actually questioning Queen's Flip. He was like, who has 50 Cent actually put hands on? And he kind of checkmated Queen's Flip with that statement, because although we've all heard the rumors, we've all heard the speculation, we've all heard 50, he got dudes before he got on. 50 done took out dudes before he got on. I heard all that talk, but where's the talk of the names of the actual people that he's actually got over on? Because the majority of us have heard the stories of 50 Cent getting run down on by Murder Inc. in Atlanta at that very odd occasion when 50 Cent was opening for Ja Rule. Apparently in Atlanta, the whole incident that had happened, if you guys remember when Ja Rule had them little baseball bats back in the day, it was murder. You know what I'm saying? It's murder. INC type shit. They were really at the top of their game, so they had all those little prop bats. And 50 Cent was in Atlanta with none of his homies. You know what I mean? 50 Cent was in Atlanta to perform, and he kind of got caught up with 50 that night. Apparently, someone had arranged a conversation. Ja Rule and 50 spoke. They went over to the side away from everybody else. You guys have probably heard about this altercation. 50 posted a little bit earlier today. He posted a comparison of Young Buck and Benzino, you guys. 50 was comparing Young Buck and Benzino. He was kind of saying they're both into the same activity. It rubbed Benzino the wrong way. Now, Queen's Flip is known to have a bit of a respectful relationship with 50 Cent. You know what I mean? Queen's Flip was actually dodging a lot of the statements that Benzino was making. He was deflecting a lot of the statements. You know what I mean? When Benzino would say 50 Cent was broke. when Benzino said 50 Cent was broke, Queen's Flip said, how was 50 Cent broke if he was at the studio? Everybody knows that this second altercation with 50 Cent and Ja Rule actually happened at the Hit Factory studio. So Queen's Flip was questioning Zeno. He was questioning Zeno. How was 50 Cent there if he's broke? Zeno responded, it was Ja Rule's session. It was a Murder Inc. session. I think he might be a little bit wrong about that because I heard it was 50 Cent's engineer that was in there. I heard it was 50 Cent's guys that were in there, and Murder Inc. had heard about where their session was. So I think Zeno is a little bit off on the story in that regard. Now, y'all, I've actually heard this story in person from Benzino myself. So that's why I want to jump on here and talk about it. Number one. Also, Young Buck apparently challenging 50 to celebrity boxing. I mean, Young Buck saying he would be open to celebrity box 50 Cent. You know what I mean? Well, where's this shit going to go next? Just a little bit earlier, I was actually talking about the fact that Young Buck wants to complete his album for 50. He wants to finish up his requirements for whatever the deal is with 50 Cent, if that's even on the table. 203, we got the 203 in the building. Major salute, major salute. Upstate New York, major salute. Appreciate you for tapping in, man. Yeah, this is the second live video of the day, man. Hopefully the YouTube algorithm isn't messing up on that regard because we're going live twice today. Hit that like button though. Share this video so we can beat the algorithm. You know what I mean? So we can get out of the eye of the storm. You know what I mean? We are going to become one of the most prominent hip hop YouTube channels on the internet, you guys. That is what I am working for. That is what I am not stopping until I achieve. We're having conversations with some of the best in the game, you guys. It's only up from here, as my brother Twiz says. Bernard, bro, 50 wasn't an informant. 50 needs to answer some questions, bro. Well, 50's actually getting called out major right here by Benzino. You know what I mean? Benzino, he's just having no holds barred because of where 50 Cent took it, you guys. Benzino is just going off off the scale on this one. When I had spoke to Benzino in the past, he had spoke in high regard of 50 Cent. Benzino helped 50 out. You know what I mean? Benzino helped 50 out when 50 went through it with Ja Rule. Now let's clarify that situation. When Benzino helped 50 at this point, he did not have any relationship with Ja Rule. Ja Rule and Benzino's relationship came a little bit later in the game. Benzino and Ja Rule seemed to take on a bit of a relationship when the source and Ja Rule had the same common enemies. I've actually been in the same studio with Benzino and Ja Rule at the same time. They do have a camaraderie. They are homies. You know what I mean? You could see it right there. Now, what would have happened different if Benzino and Ja Rule were homies back then? I don't think 50 would have been able to run to Benzino's studio. I don't think Benzino would have ordered 50 Cent a car service. You know what I'm saying? If at that point in time, 50, was having problems with Ja Rule, I don't think Benzino would have helped him out, man. So, Benzino pretty much explained to me he didn't really know Ja Rule at this point. 50 stumbled into his studio, which I guess was downstairs from the Hit Factory. 50 stumbled in and it looked like he needed medical attention. So that's why Benzino actually called him a car service. Benzino explained to me, you guys, that he had a car service at any point at back then. All he had to do was call somebody and a car would arrive to take them wherever he wanted to go. So, Benzino really had it on lock back then. 50 Cent is extremely lucky that, Benzino was as good of a dude as he is. I've met Benzino on a few different occasions. He is a good dude, man. Benzino will give you the shirt off of his back. That's why I don't really understand why he's catching such a bad rap right now, just because people are speculating about him and his friends. People are, really hating on him about all the Coil Ray situations. Definitely appreciate everybody tuning in tonight. Definitely appreciate everybody tuning in tonight. Yeah, yeah, JoJo the Don. And Benzino pretty much saved 50 Cent at that point. However, you want to look at it, you know what I mean? Because of the fact that Benzino called the car service for 50 Cent. I mean, shit, we see what happened in the past with Skinny from the Nine running from Zoe Dollars. You know what I'm saying? If Skinny from the Nine didn't have access to getting an Uber, then in all honesty, he would have got caught by all of the Zoes and Zoe Dollars. So if you look at that situation and compared to this, if 50 Cent didn't have a place to tuck his head real quick, then, he honestly wouldn't have probably made it out of there in as good a shape as he did. Now, 50 had joked around about this. 50 joked around about this afterwards, saying, yo, I only needed like 2 stitches for that situation. 50 poked fun at the whole, yeah, the whole fight that happened, where they say the lights got shut off and then, they say black child. Or I'm not even going to go there and say that, man. But Lionel, appreciate you for tapping in. Major salute. Major salute on the tap in. Major salute. Eric Spencer, I appreciate you for tapping in as well. Everybody in here tonight, major salute. I'm drinking, I'm doing the standard. I'm smoking on some runts. We're going over the hip hop news. Benzino's making some crazy, crazy stories, man. Whoa. I'm not taking anybody's side in this situation, my dude. I'm not taking anybody's side in this situation just because I've met Benzino on a couple of occasions. I'm just letting you guys know that Benzino actually told me this story beforehand. Benzino told me this story before he ever had an issue with 50 Cent. Even after the 50 Cent and Ja Rule beef popped off, Benzino wasn't on any blogs that I had done dissing 50 Cent. Benzino actually wasn't even a friend of Ja Rule when all of this popped off. He explained that to me. That's why it was not really a matter. That's why it wasn't. Yeah, exactly. 937 boss man. That's exactly what I didn't want to say. You know what I mean? Some things you just don't need to say. But but yeah, Benzino actually had a lot of respect for 50, probably knowing about his come up from the how to rob days. You know what I mean? The life's on the line. He probably saw those videos and knew about the, animosity going on between the two of these Queens rappers. Now, Benzino would go on to form a relationship with Ja Rule and Murder Inc. that still stands to this day. You know what I'm saying? What happened with Benzino and 50 Cent after Benzino helped 50? 50 pretty much forgot Benzino existed. 50 even went on to diss the source with Eminem. This is the guy that literally, helped you when you were in crisis. You know, this is the interview. This is the guy that really helped you when you were in crisis. Yeah, 93.7. I actually did an interview with Black Child as well. That's my guy right there. Black Child is a really good dude. Good to see him and Irv Gotti are still running strong, man. Black Child in my interview with me, he told me that he told me that Irv Gotti actually made sure that he was good when he got out of jail and basically let his parole officer know that he had a job with Murder Inc. I really respected that about Irv Gotti. Now, Irv Gotti is a boss ass dude too. I remember meeting Irv in the studio. He was surrounded by Taz's angels. What a genius, man! Marketing genius right there, Irv Gotti. Well, Lotto, it's accurate, man. It's accurate. He sent the card. He sent the car for 50 Cent, bro. He sent the car for 50 Cent that got him out of there that night. You know what I mean? That's love. That's love. Come on, man. Even if he just didn't have a ride home and somebody were to give you a car service, you know what I mean? The fact that Benzino actually treated 50 Cent, better than a lot of people would back then. He treated him like a superstar. He treated him like somebody in need, whatever, however way you want to look at it. Irv is the real gangster. Irv is the real musician, man. Irv's got an ear for music. Irv has put out several different platinum albums, man. He's got so many plaques. You know what I'm saying? And he's done some great work with, other artists like, obviously we know like DMX and shit like that. Their sound together was just amazing. Is Black Child Junebug on the Get Rich or Die Trying movie? Isn't Junebug the one who who's the right hand man of Majestic, sort of, or he's Majestic's henchman? I don't want to say that was Junebug. I don't want to say Black Child was Junebug if that's the case. 50 Cent was the closest thing to Tupac, last true gangster rapper. That turning point in 50's career is 2007 when he made that shit with Kanye West. Hey, K4M, I guess you've been tuning into some of these streams, man. If not, I hope you tune into some in the future. If anybody watching this is not subscribed, make sure you subscribe to the channel, man. Tonight, we got to talk about Benzino. You know what I mean? Tonight, we got to talk about Benzino going in on 50 Cent, y'all. Benzino seriously went in on 50 Cent. He kind of was provoked because 50 had went on his Instagram a little bit earlier and basically compared Benzino to Young Buck. And we all know what Young Buck has been ridiculed for over the last few years. You know what I mean? Since the dramatic video of Young Buck crying, like he's been exposed for so many more dramatic things since then. Like the crying shit is like the last thing on the menu right now, you guys. The whole situation with him crying on the phone with 50, we don't even care about that no more with everything else that Young Buck's been going through. And Benzino is pretty damn offended. You know what I mean? Benzino is pretty damn offended that 50 Cent is going to say these things about him. And it's crazy to me to hear that because, well, no, it's not, it's crazy to me to hear that because of how much Benzino tried to keep it real and not diss 50 back in the day. Shit like that, even when I was doing interview, like I said, when I did a few interviews with him and when I spoke with him personally, it wasn't no dissing 50 shit, you know. What's up? What's up? What's up? Port City's in the building. Major salute. Lotto says 50 was like Pac. What you talking about, JoJo? Gravity says you don't think this is publicity for his daughter's album. That video of his said he uh Gravity, are you talking about the video of him getting arrested? Yeah, no, actually there was a couple videos of him getting arrested actually. One was a year old and then I read another was 5 years old. Kind of crazy how it takes all that time to get to the public's eye. You know what I'm saying? Okay. JoJo says, hell no, 50 ain't nothing like Pac. Gravity says, yeah, it's all coming out now. Kind of perfect timing. I mean, shit. It's only good because like Benzino got to chill out for the last year and not have that embarrassing footage out with him, or the last 5 years and not have that embarrassing footage put out of him. Some of that stuff is just extremely embarrassing. We saw what happened with China Matt calling him out earlier this year. And just some of that stuff is extremely embarrassing, you guys. Like to have that video of you released, man, it's kind of like detrimental to your career. But in all honesty, it's like, what career does Benzino have at this point other than, doing a few interviews here and there on Vlad TV? That's kind of, what his career has come down to at this point. He's gone from running one of the biggest media corporations to now being somebody that could potentially be a host on a show. You know what I mean? So there is still some things that he could do. His music career, although he had signed to many different labels, his music career never really took off. Although in his last interview, he was saying his song had charted higher than his daughter's, No More Parties. But that's another story, man, for another blog. Not really trying to get into that tonight. We'll have to see what happens with Coi Leray's album sales, you guys. We'll have to see what happens with Coi Leray's album sales because they're saying that she may do 11,000 first week. If she does 11,000 first week, I'll be back on here talking about it soon. Yo, 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 Chase Moolah, I appreciate you for tuning in tonight. Apex in the building, yo. Major salute. Major salute to my guy Apex. We got some shit to talk about tonight because Benzino, whenever Benzino and Queens flip lock in. Benzino, like I was just saying, Benzino is really known for these interviews he's doing right now, whether it's Queens flip, whether it's Sean Prez. You know what I'm saying? Benzino right now, he's getting his voice out there. We've seen him go from, the magazines to, from trying to do the music to the magazines. After that, he was trying to get his music and his voice out there a little bit more. What did it lead to? It led to him getting on Love and Hip Hop. He transferred that into other shows like Marriage Boot Camp. And what's he doing now? Now he's getting his relationship back with a few of the social media guys. You know what I'm saying? A few of the social media guys, your Vlads, your Queens Flips. He's getting his name out there to the point where, people are starting to care about him again. He's made people care about him, certain matters. When he had that Love and Hip Hop crowd, it was almost the biggest he had been since, he got put in our face for Rock the Party. He really kind of made it to a bigger level. What up, what up, what up, Darth? Appreciate you for tapping in. Jamaica Queens is in the house. Jamaica Queens, man. I can only imagine how you feel about this with Benzino and Queens Flip now having this conversation and Benzino just going off and saying that, you know, 50's a rat. 50 snitched on Ja Rule years ago. And now we got now we got Young Buck. For crying out loud, Young Buck may want to do a celebrity boxing match with 50 Cent. Buck said he could get knocked out or he could knock out 50. I don't know, y'all. I don't know. I'm gonna put it in the chat, man. Celebrity boxing, who do y'all got? I'm putting up the poll in the chat right now, you guys. For everybody watching, you guys can vote. You can vote right now in the chat for who you think would win in celebrity boxing. Buck is so underrated. It's crazy. Buck got his opportunity, Gravity. Buck got his opportunity in front of the world. Buck got his opportunity to go on the BET 106 in Parks, all the MTV shows. You know what I mean? He really got his opportunity to shine. He got his opportunity to drop his albums and do his big budget music videos. So I really don't want to say that Young Buck is underrated. There's a lot of other artists that never got the opportunity that Buck did, from all the magazine interviews to all the, promotional budgets from Interscope Records. So I really don't look at Young Buck like he's an underrated artist. Chase Moolah, you're hilarious. Jason Waters, what's popping with you, man? Lotto says Buck's mixtape catalog is crazy. Is the Rehab a part of that mixtape catalog, Lotto? Gravity said, word, I agree. You right. Thank you, brother. Highly qualified said Buck is over his head. 50 shouldn't even waste his time with Buck or game. Well, I mean, we saw what happened today with 50 posted on his Instagram. It's like whenever 50 sees a cool little way to take a shot at you, he's going to do it. You know what I mean? If 50 sees a cool little shot to take on you, or you know what I mean, because of the fact that he had seen a shot to take at Benzino, he decided to pair his own artist in there. You know what I mean? Tear his own artist down just a little bit more. Kind of that's kind of what 50 Cent does, you guys. 50 Cent, he doesn't forget. You know what I mean? He doesn't forgive. Well, sometimes he forgives, but he most certainly does not forget. You know what I mean? Sure, he signed Young Buck back, signed him back. You know what I mean? But look how he played out with the situation. He made sure that he signed Young Buck for more than a one album option. Okay, we'll do the group deal, but also I want a solo album from you, Buck. Just in case anything pops off from this group joint, I want to be the one who can release the solo album. That sounds like some easy E shit to me, just to be real. Yeah, Gravity says 50 Cent was Golden Gloves at some point. Uh, Darth says 50 Cent all the way. But yeah, so Benzino had this conversation with Queen's Flip that I want to talk about, you guys, because he went off. Benzino went off. Benzino was like, 50 Cent, he is a rat. He is a rat in my book. He's a rat. He's an informant. And he has no morals. And he has no really good judgment. He has no really good judgment. I'm wondering where Benzino is coming from when he says 50 Cent has no really good judgment, you guys. This is the guy that instead of just taking a check from Vitamin Water and getting an endorsement like Diddy does with all the artists that would do Sean John or Ciroc, 50 took a stake in the company and turned it into millions. So he doesn't have any good judgment. He doesn't like that doesn't really make any sense right there that he doesn't really have any good judgment. 50, the same guy we're talking about, Benzino, the same guy that we're talking about dropped his debut album, Get Rich or Die Trying, and then he followed it up with the Beg for Mercy album. You know what I mean? He didn't wait a whole nother cycle. He didn't rush to get to the Massacre album. You know what I mean? Or the documentary, whatever his second album would have actually been. 50 decided to put out the G Unit project to start building his other guys. So, in all honesty, that doesn't sound like a lack of good judgment. He has no really good judgment. That sounds like awesome judgment. You know what I mean? Sounds like awesome judgment to me. Oh, hold on. Maybe Benzino's talking about 50 not having any good judgment because he held up a cool million for Tony Yayo. Maybe that's some of 50's bad judgment. How about recording How to Rob and turning the industry upside down? Maybe you can chalk that up as bad judgment. No, I don't think Benzino is accurate when he says 50 is known for bad judgment. How about the way that he's paralleled Big Meech's story into the biggest show in syndication? But yeah, 50 Cent has bad judgment. You know what I mean? How about let's bring it all the way back to when 50 Cent was in that altercation with Murder Inc. in New York, and he found his way into your studio, and you ended up sending him out in a car service to the hospital. Is that bad judgment? It seems to me like he made the right judgment in where to go in order to get out of the situation. So I just gave 5, 10 examples of 50 Cent having good judgment. Did 50 Cent do an interview with me? No, he has great judgment. So let's get on with this here. So Benzino also said he's a rat in my book. He's an informant and he has no morals. He has no morals. If 50 had no morals, and I'm not just trying to stick up for 50, man. I'm just trying to see things from both, perspectives. If 50 had no morals, he would have taken that deal with Taco Bell and been 59 cent, selling 59-cent tacos for $1 million. So 50 has a little bit more morals than that. You know what I'm saying? So Benzino said he is a multimillionaire and he's posting shit about me that isn't true. I mean, 50's really just laughing about it along with the rest of the world. You know what I mean? The rest of the world is laughing at 50's artists. You think that doesn't really hurt 50 Cent to a certain extent? The fact that he's the guy who brought Young Buck into the game and now Young Buck is facing all this criticism. Yes, yes, that does weigh on 50 Cent. Young Buck is one of the reasons that G Unit is no longer a successful label. Let's just be real. You know what I mean? The fact that Young Buck, blew it all away, both figuratively and maybe literally, the fact that Young Buck blew all the G Unit success away and didn't really capitalize on Cashville Records, you know what I mean? When he really had an opportunity, the same opportunity, if not more of an opportunity than the game, probably about the same. Because if the game would have followed suit, 50 would have put him in position to create the Black Wall Street, which was G Unit West. The only reason Young Buck got a little bit further is because he stayed loyal, Cashville, G Unit South. But there's so many damn artists that Young Buck had that we never saw. He like Jim Jones did. He Irv Gotti'd it when it comes to your Black Childs and your Cadillac Taz. What happened to High C Murda? You know what I mean? Young Buck's artists back in the day. What happened to these guys? And I'm not just up here saying what happened to DT, because we know that story a little bit more. What happened to Young Buck signing the Outlaws? Like, come on, what was the point of that? Benzino is hella hurt, bro. Salute. Benzino is just hurt. I can hear. Yeah, he's hella hurt because, like I was saying, Chase, Benzino hasn't really been spending his time dissing 50 Cent. And then, like it's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy because of the fact that 50 Cent, you know what I mean? Hold on. Bro, Bro, I am answering the chat. What are you talking about, man? But if people write stuff that's a little bit odd in the chat, I'm not going to be reading it out. I have respect for my channel. So if people write out stuff that is not accepted eh, mainstream, I'm not going to be reading it out. Simple as that. Highly qualified asked me a question that only somebody very highly qualified could answer. Yeah, man. A lot of people be asking like weird questions like, yo, yo, yo. And then they throw in the most outrageous statement that they expect me to read on my YouTube. Sorry, I'm not reading that out on my YouTube. You know what I mean? We got like 60,000 subscribers on this YouTube page, man. We keep it to a respectful manner. I'm not on here talking about all types of crazy conspiracy stuff like some of the other guys do. I keep it hip hop on my channel. My channel is born of hip hop. What up? What up, New York native? And I really do. I really do try to post everything from the chat. But then you got people using vulgarity. You got people just saying the most outlandish shit. I like to interact with the chat, but you guys, I'm not telling you guys to dumb it down like Lil Durk said about the diss records or 22G said about the diss records. But, you just got to have a manner of respect, if you want me to, acknowledge what you're saying or if you want me to actually respond to what you're saying. Major salute to the DMV. How about it, man? Benzino's going off on 50. Land Hustle TV is in the building. Benzino is going off on 50 Cent, you guys. He's bringing out the informant word. He called 50 the I word. Is it the information unit? Is it the I unit? I thought it was G unit. Maybe it's the I unit, the information unit. 50 Cent got into a couple different situations with Ja Rule that we've all heard about. I've done some interviews speaking about them before in the past, but 50 Cent got involved in this one situation where it was said that G Unit members were actually going to snitch. An engineer, they said, actually was going to file paperwork. I'm not 100% sure what that went down with that. A lot of people say Irv Gotti had fake paperwork that he brought up to Hot 97, these different radio stations trying to out 50 Cent. In regard to that, I say too little, too late. He was too little, too late. You brought out the paperwork when nobody gave a damn, when nobody cared. You can't tell nobody about 50 Cent when Wanksta's out and In the Club is about to start skyrocketing through the, you know what I mean? You were too little, too late. You should have brought out that paperwork on 50 Cent when he dropped How to Rob. You should have brought out that paperwork on 50 Cent when he dropped Your Life's on the Line. You know what I'm saying? You missed you missed your opportunity because Ja Rule wanted to play it safe. Ja Rule, who was selling a bunch of records, but not the most records. Now, let's be honest, Ja Rule or 50 Cent has doubled Ja Rule's highest first week sales, you guys. Ja Rule's Ja Rule's highest first week sales have been judged by, I'm sorry, I just lost it again because I got this dude Lotto in here just going crazy, dude. Yo, bro, you're catching the timeout, bro. You got to chill out, man. What the hell is that? You got to chill out, man. Keep it cordial in the chat, dude. Benzino moving spooky. Boom says Benzino hasn't done nothing. Only thing he had was the magazine. Also, Rock the Party hit a certain level. Also, he was on television for a certain level or a certain amount of time, I should say. Boom says Ja had the ladies, 50 had the streets. Okay, my bad. Maybe Lotto was responding to Finch. Banks is your top three, and maybe. Just try to keep it cordial in the chat, man. Like, you guys got to keep it cordial with each other as well. Like, I just got taken out of a thought. Ja Rule never stood a chance against early 2000s 50. Well, if they would have beat him to the punch, you know what I mean? If they would have beat 50 Cent to the punch, it would have probably been a different story, you guys. You know what I mean? If they would have actually been able to beat 50 Cent to the punch, it would have been a different story. But they just waited till 50 Cent became so damn popular that he couldn't be touched. And it really made absolutely no sense. It's like, so you've got the most popular guy in the industry right now, and you're going to try and tell us that he's an informant, bro. We don't care what you got to say. In all honesty, Ja Rule just makes music for the girls. Ja Rule just makes music that my girlfriend likes to listen to. You know what I'm saying? And Mob King actually brings up the fact that Benzino has his place in hip hop. Won't deny that. The Source Awards and the magazine was fire. The magazine sold. The magazine actually sold as much as a highly successful album every time it dropped. Uh, Straight Arrow. And my bad, Lotto, if you're still in here, bro. I didn't know you were just going at it with I thought I hadn't responded to you and you were going at me for not responding. Straight Arrow says Ja had the streets with his first album. You could feel the pain. Yeah, Holla Holla. Well, the first album was called Veni Vidi Vici. Ja Rule's first album was amazing. You know what I mean? Ja Rule's first album was really good. Ja Rule's second album, Rule 336, was also really good. You know, third album was really, really commercial. Yeah, the third album from Ja Rule got really, really commercial, and then the fourth album from Ja Rule, The Last Temptation, got really, really unbearable. And when he went back and took that gangster route for Blood in My Eye, it just wasn't the same as Veni Vidi Vici either. It's like you could just tell that the level there, it wasn't the same, man, as Veni Vidi Vici, just to be real. Land Hustle TV points out a good fact. You can't ignore someone that's going diamond. That's the problem Murder Inc. had. Yeah, they could have shut him down, you know what I mean, at first, when 50 really couldn't move more than 100,000 units. Like, that's what 50 was probably expecting when he was dropping with Columbia. That was their opportunity to shut him down. You know what I mean? To reach out to all the bigger wigs at that point, like Busta, like your Eminems, like your Dr. Dre's, and just start letting them know who you're going against and you know what I mean? You at least got to put it out there. But Ja Rule tried to ignore 50. He tried to ignore the problem. And when you ignore the problem's going to grow and it's going to irritate you so much that you can't stop it, man. The problem took over. The problem child. Bring back the Source Awards. Y'all not gonna act like rappers didn't care about getting 5 mics. Cool E says once in the club dropped, Irv said they had to sit back because 50 was fire. Well, in all honesty, when 50 Cent dropped In the Club and he dropped Get Rich or Die Trying, Irv Gotti dropped Ashanti's album a few months after that. And that joint sold a shitload of records. Highly qualified, you truly got to be a hip hop head to know about Benzino. But highly qualified also said earlier that nobody could probably name 7 songs from the game. He is hilarious. Screaming out Lotto, I don't like you. This free world shit got you hyped up. Mm. Jojo, I don't really agree with that, man. They always say Murder Inc. was dealing with the feds at that time, and that's why 50 won. I don't really agree with that. I think it's more of an issue of actually the fact that they didn't respond, the fact that they took 50 way too lightly. You know what I mean? That was a problem, man. Let me see this. Jojo. What's Jojo got to say here? Yo, bro, I'm not Irish, just so you know. I am not Irish. German and English. German and English, but not Irish. But I appreciate you, man. Definitely appreciate you. No worries, brother. Let me see. Kendall says, "You remember, Mikey, when the feds came out, they had Lear just like 50 at Interscope, but he turned on them when the feds came." Yeah, man. Yep. They fell back. Murder Inc. had to leave Def Jam, and then they ended up on Universal, which really wasn't a good fit for them because Universal wasn't believing in them. Their sales machine was gone. You know what I mean? Murder Inc. was really a formidable label on Def Jam. Def Jam always had a bunch of labels, like they had Disturbing the Peace. You know what I mean? They always housed a bunch of labels. John Nice, appreciate you for tapping in, man. Thanks for tapping in. I definitely appreciate it. Let me see. $50 shut them down. All right, let's get back into it though. Excuse me, guys. So Benzino said, "I don't play those games. I'm trying to make a point to say I helped that rat. I helped that rat informant ass dude. He's a rat. He has been on papers. He has been on papers? What? Are you talking about when he got arrested that one time and had to go to shock treatment? Like 50 has been on papers. Wow, Benzino seems to know a whole lot about 50 at this point for a guy who actually took Ja Rule's side in the whole melee. You know what I mean? For a guy who played, he was Switzerland for a second. You know what I mean? He was Switzerland, as they say. But then when push came to shove and Eminem and 50 associated with one another, Benzino chose his side. Now, there may not have been any other sides for him to choose, but like I said, Ja Rule and Benzino have remained friends over the years. Bro, please tell me you're not talking about The Last of the Mohegans. Tell me you're not talking about Gun Talk. Tell me you're not talking about, you know what I mean? Records like that. Connected, you know what I'm saying? Because Ja Rule, he really did try hard with their street cuts. I ain't gonna lie. Ja Rule did Ja Rule did try hard for those street cuts that were on his albums. But yeah, they were outshadowed. They were overshadowed by the popular records. You know what I mean? They were majorly overshadowed by the popular pop records. DeAndre says, "I hate how they keep using that bogus order of protection." Yeah, DeAndre, I was just talking about the order of protection. They were a little bit late on that. You know what I mean? If they had presented an order of protection before 50's career started spinning like a freaking tornado, you know what I mean? If they had presented that information on 50 Cent prior to that, maybe they would have had a chance. When 50 was trying to bubble and Ja Rule was the hottest in the industry, if Ja Rule would have just went on a radio interview and said that this dude is kind of holding him back, if he would have done anything like that, I have a feeling Ja Rule could have kept the momentum on his side. You know what I mean? To kind of try to hold strong to the streets. And then they could have brought Black Child up and been like, this is the guy that dealt with 50 Cent. But they didn't do anything like that. They just continued to let Black Child and Cadillac Ta play the background, man. Let me see. Highly qualified. Keep up the good work, MT. And I still believe most people can't name 7 game songs. Let me name 7 game songs without there being a 50 Cent feature. 7 game songs without a 50 Cent feature. Uh, you got Special. You got Special. You got Games Pain. You got My Life. You got Scream on 'em. You got was it called California Vacation? Was that with the game Snoop and Exhibit? Let me know. Let me know. I might be wrong on the Exhibit feature right there. Uh, what else do you got from the game? I'm trying to name 7 game songs right now without going overly cliche. Like saying something like Easy. So since I'm not going to say Easy, I'll say Wouldn't Get Far. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to say things like Dreams or One Blood, like all the records that everybody might already know. You know what I mean? Um, you got Old English. You know what I mean? You got the Doctor's Advocate, which I was talking about a little bit earlier, so I won't use that one. Let me see. What do you got? You got some of his diss tracks like Buttons. You know what I mean? Buttons, 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 buttons. The game was dope, man. The game was dope. He's got a lot of songs, man. And because I like a lot of his like Running with Tony Yayo. You know what I'm saying? I like a lot of his songs from his first, his second album, and his third album. He had a lot of features on there, man. The third album had more features than any of the other albums, or the first two, I should say, actually, because I kind of fell off from the game after that. I won't lie. You know what I mean? After he dropped the joint with Lil Wayne, the Red album joint, the Red Nation joint. I kind of fell back from him. I was like, okay, so he just put out the My Life with Lil Wayne, and now he's doubling back for another feature with Wayne. Come on, game. Come on. You got to do something to keep the fans a little bit more invested than that. You know what I mean? Doubling back on features in such a short period of time isn't going to do it. Even though both tracks were massively different, the way Lil Wayne was on that My Life track. A lot of tracks I don't like from the game, though, like Strip Club, Higher, that he did with Dr. Dre. I wasn't too big on Higher. I might give it a chance after this stream though. But the way the beat knocked was like dun 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 dun. It was sweet, but it just could have been a lot better. His other joint, this Let's Ride in parentheses the Strip Club. We Ain't featuring Eminem. Yup. We Ain't and Running, 2 really dope songs. Start From Scratch. I Don't Need Your Love. Yep, Jesus Piece. Uh, yeah, Start From Scratch. Dreams, West Side Story. All these songs are really good, man. 100 with Drake. Games catalog is fire. It's just his antics that get in the way. Big Dreams, Dope Boys, right, with Travis Barker. Man, you forgot We Ain't with the Game with Eminem, excuse me. Game and Keisha Cole, Games Pain. Yep, I mentioned that one. Put You on the Game. Yep, you corrected yourself, brother. Father Like Son with Busta Rhymes, right, bro? I didn't want to go ahead and name the 15 game records. Like I said, How We Do, West Side Story. I didn't want to just name those. What was this? Soldier. Soundtrack with Meek Mill as well. Soundtrack with Meek Mill, Ra. Yeah, the game has a lot of music, y'all. The game has a lot of music. That is undeniable. That is 100% undeniable. But how do we get to talking about the game? Let's get back to the story. So Benzino said, I don't play those games. I'm trying to make a point to say that I helped that rat informant ass dude. He's a rat and he's been on papers. Benzino then went in on the Ja Rule situation. He snitched on Ja Rule a long time ago. That was rumor. That was rumor, but also rumor that was, they tried to prove it. Like you guys were saying in the chat with Irv Gotti bringing that paperwork, the order of protection. I think 50 Cent actually made a diss track Did 50 make that diss track order of protection after Irv started waving around the order of protection? Is that how that went in sequence of timing? But yeah, so Benzino's like he snitched on Ja Rule a long time ago. Benzino said Benzino helped 50 regardless of anything. I found it in my heart to help my man. I could have been like, get out of my studio. So this is when Benzino started to bring it back to that night when Murder Inc. ran up on 50 Cent. Now, Benzino was saying something about he was broke back then. Queen's Flip said, how was he broke if he was in the studio? Benzino said that it wasn't his session. 50 went into a Ja Rule session. I believe he got that part mixed up. I do believe hearing Black Child interviews that they heard Ja Rule or they heard 50 Cent was in the Hit Factory studio, which is why they went to the studio. They're Murder Inc. They're going to be able to get any type of access they want at this point. That's why they went to the studio, you guys. They went to the studio to actually confront 50 Cent himself. And then it turned into a whole melee. Deandra says that Order of Protection song is Fire by 50. Yeah, that's one of the best ones. That's one of the best ones where him, Banks, and Yayo are just trading. I put the llama to your mama and beat her like a pinata. That's the one, right? Yo, Mob, I really appreciate you, Mob King. I really appreciate you tapping in. Anybody that's watching right now that's not subscribed to the channel, let's go. Let's go. Subscribe to the channel so you never miss these live videos, man. I always interact with the people. It's always about getting y'all opinion. It's always about getting y'all opinion as well, man. That's what matters most. That Bel Air Blue is fire. You know we coming for the Bel Air Blue endorsement, baby. I'm fitting to be the Bel Air blogger. There ain't another blogger out there like Mikey T. You know, it ain't Mike O, homie. It's Mike T. You heard what I'm saying? It ain't Mike O, but it's Mike T. And I'm getting on this Bel Air shit. You feel me? Tomorrow we're actually going to be popping the Vouv Clico. But as long as Bel Air comes through, man, every night on the channel we'll be popping that Bel Air Blue. But yeah, you're right. The Bel Air Blue is actually my favorite of them. The Bel Air Blue is actually my favorite of them right now. I mean, you got the gold bottle and the white bottles and the pink, you know what I'm saying? But the Bel Air Blue is that shit right now. Uh uh yeah, young Dev. Yeah, young Dev. Yeah, we got it. Yep, that's what it was. It was a super chat. That's why we were answering that. I mean, shit, if anybody sends in a super chat, that question takes precedent over everything. So I appreciate my guy. Was it High Quality for sending in that super chat? That is love, man. That shit is love right there. Highly qualified. There's my guy right there. He said Benzino looks like a fighter. 50 better be careful. Yeah, in that video of Benzino getting arrested, even the officer said, I wouldn't want to fight you. Look how big you are. Then later on, they said, you're 55 years old. The cop actually said that to Benzino. He looked at his license and he was like, you're 55 years old. He's like, yeah. And then he's like, damn, I would have never thought that. He's like, the cop actually said, I would have thought you were 35 years old. Crazy. You know what I mean? Crazy. Um, yo, salute. It ain't Mike C. It ain't Mike O and it ain't Mike C, but it's Mike T. Damn, CM Brock says, even the locks. Bring me up this lyric, CM Brock. Even the locks was talking 50 was the feds. JoJo. And Dr. Dre formed Aftermath with Eminem and 50. Chess, not checkers, young boy. Yup. Yup. It's one of the things right there, you know. And Game actually said that's one of the reasons he didn't go at Eminem because of Eminem's affiliation or, representation of Aftermath. The Game didn't want to go at somebody that was lined up with Dr. Dre back then. You wouldn't go at your label mate back then. It was very, very odd what Young Buck started to do, dissing G Unit while he was still on the label. It was very odd to all of us as fans. It threw us off. It's like, hold up. We literally just watched 50 make your career, Buck. Why are you pulling that shit? So, you know what I mean? Buck kind of put himself in that. Most of the people calling 50 a snitch or the feds is cool with him now, and that says a lot right there. DeAndre, I don't who was calling 50 the feds that he's actually cool with now. He's never gonna be cool with Murder Inc. You know what I mean? He's never gonna be cool with Murder Inc. Never gonna be cool with Jimmy Henchman. Young Dev Shines nicknamed him Hawaii 50. I remember that shit. I remember that shit. That shit was hilarious, man. Shine is dope. Shine actually got hit up by G Unit while he was locked up to sign with the label. So Benzino went into this whole thing, Benzino was like, Benzino helped 50 regardless of anything. I found it in my heart to help my man. I could have been like, get out of my studio. What are you even doing here? I got the man a car service because he had no money. So Queen's Flip said, how do you know why you saying he didn't have any money? He was defending the fact that he may or may not have money, saying that he was in the studio that night. How would he not have any money if he was in the studio? Some bullshit like that. No disrespect, Queen's Flip. But there's a big difference. All right, so I'm Mikey T, the movie star. I got money to go to the studio with my artist. Sure. But do I have money for a car service? No, I don't have money for a car service. Are you kidding me? Like, there's a big difference between having money for a studio and then having money for a car service. Look at 50 Cent back then. He has money to put on G Unit, bring him to the studio, make sure Lloyd Banks gets a little bit of time in there, or make sure they all get their verses for their mixtape finished. Does he have money for a car service? Oh, hell no, man. This is G Unit prior to to them blowing up. This is G Unit prior to the expansion, you guys. Like 50 didn't have all that money for no damn car service. Not having money for car service doesn't mean you don't have any money. Let's be real here. You know what I mean? I can go and eat where I want to eat, or I can go and record where I want to record. You know what I mean? But do I have a damn 5-star luxury service to bring me there? No. You know what I mean? That doesn't mean that 50's broke. Doesn't mean that 50's broke because he didn't have a car service. You know what I mean? And back then there wasn't something as simple as, you know, Uber. You know what I mean? You couldn't even you couldn't even use the phone back then like you do this day and age. So that's really kind of irrelevant to be 100%. Calling 50 Cent broke just because you have a car service that is paid for by the Source magazine. That's what put Benzino in position to have different shit like that. But like I said, 50 used some very good judgment. It seems to me like 50 actually used some very good judgment in going into that studio that Benzino was at. And it didn't really work out in Benzino's favor because 50 Cent never acknowledged him again after that. 50 Cent pretty much treated him like nothing after that because why? Why would 50 Cent disregard Benzino after saving him? It's a pretty simple answer. It's a pretty simple answer as to why 50 Cent would discontinue his relationship with Benzino after he saved him after that scuffle with Murder Inc. Because you want to forget that night ever happened. You want to forget every situation. You want to forget every situation involved with that night. You know what I mean? You really want to forget every single situation involved with that night, you guys. That's why Benzino doesn't want to, or 50 Cent wouldn't want to see Benzino. He doesn't want to recall that memory. You kidding me? 50 Cent wants to get as far away from that memory as he can, as anybody would want to. Look at the situation that we talked about weeks ago with Chief Keef and Mimo 600. Every time Mimo 600 shows up and he's around Chief Keef, he's always bringing up that one negative memory that Chief Keef just can't seem to shake about the time where he had a Trey moment from Boys in the Hood. And then he's got his homeboy bringing it up. You know what I mean? It's embarrassing. It's unbecoming. It doesn't fit with your image. 50 Cent doesn't want to remember that night where he couldn't even afford car service, where he could, you know what I mean? So Benzino explained that he got the car service to take him to the hospital, and he continued. He went down there to beef with Ja Rule. This is my thing with 50. As many weights as he lifts, you would think he would be good with these. And I couldn't really see Benzino what he was doing, but I imagine he was with these. You know what I mean? Benzino actually went on to make fun of him for getting, hit up by Murder Inc. Benzino said, I'm not making fun of him getting jumped. In the history of hip hop, have you heard of 50 doing these with anybody? So he was kind of calling 50 out on the fact that there's not many documented incidents that 50 Cent has actually got involved with. You know what I'm saying? We hear about everyone saying, even 50's enemies, oh, 50 could box, man. You didn't want to mess with Boo Boo back then. Boo Boo could box. 50 said that, or people said that about 50 Cent all the time. But let's be real. You know what I mean? Let's be real. We never heard about a scuffle that 50 Cent has been involved with. It was not 50 who got into the scuffle with Gunplay. It was the associates of 50. The whole French Montana situation with 50 Cent has been downplayed by both men as if it never happened. I'm just wondering, you guys, what situation? I don't really believe that he ever ran into Fredro Starr and all that happened. So what really happened? Every time he met up with Ja Rule, he was on the losing end. Like I'm just being real as to what I've heard. I heard something about maybe him or the game slapped each other. The game knocked a glass of wine out of his hand or something like that. I don't really think that pertains. Yep, it's been confirmed. It's been confirmed by enemies and associates of 50 Cent that he is no slouch when it comes to, he's no slouch when it comes to that shit. Smoke break, y'all. It's a smoke break. I want to know what's everyone smoking. Let me know what you guys are smoking, y'all. I need to know. I need to know what my crew is smoking tonight, y'all. I'm blazing on some runts. Gushers Mint. That sounds like a good strain right there. Gushers Mint. Never really heard about it. So I got the poll up right now, man. The poll is who would win celebrity boxing, and 50 Cent is actually destroying Young Buck. We got like 78 votes, and everybody's going for 50 Cent, you guys. So vote in the poll if you haven't right now. Gushers Mint is in the air. I got this runs, as I said. Nightman is blazing on the Blueberry Diesel. Wow, that sounds awesome. That's what's up. Pineapple Express. Okay. I love some Pineapple Express, man. Actually, I got a PAX. I got a PAX joint of the Pineapple Express a few months ago. So it was really good out of that. Even tasted better than the flour. Bro, 50 ain't no snitch. Benzino's just going off, kind of on old information, because Benzino never really went off on this before like this, where he was like, oh, he's a rat, he's a rat, he's a rat. But 50 made fun of Benzino. He compared him to Young Buck, and now Benzino is on his ass. You know what I mean? He's given Benzino a whole nother reason to talk. So I'm pretty sure we're gonna see Prez and Benzino doing another interview speaking on 50 Cent. It'll be on Vlad. We'll see what's happening with it. Blue cookies. Blue cookies. Damn, that sounds awesome. Major salute on the blue cookies. Right now, I'm asking everybody what y'all smoking. Taking a little smoke break before we get back to the topic. Before we get back to the topic at hand. Blue cookies. Hell yeah. Pineapple Express. Blueberry Diesel. Okay. That's what I like to hear, man. We got some of the best chronic blazing up in here. We got some of the best chronic blazing up in here. I got the runts though, you guys. I got the runts, and then I got some of this other stuff called Irish Cannonball. It's pretty high percentage. I'm gonna smoke on that like tomorrow. When my dog Jesse gets here. I was supposed to go to New Jersey this week, but I think I'm going to Rochester next week, actually. Yep, because I got an opportunity to go to Rochester. So I'm gonna be right up by Niagara Falls, Rochester, Buffalo, I'm thinking. So I decided to do that instead. What's everybody smoking, man? Let me know. Also, let's finish up with this poll. If you guys haven't voted in the poll, vote now. Because Young Buck did this interview. I guess Buck is doing a couple interviews right now because we were talking about how he was basically saying he was still signed to G Unit. He's still considered a G Unit artist. Big shocker. You know what I mean? You owe an album. Yeah, you're still a G Unit artist. You know what I mean? A lot of people out there probably would wish that they could still, owe 50 Cent an album. Young Buck owes him an album, but the problem is 50 won't accept any of these albums. 50 won't accept any of these albums that Young Buck has been turning in. Buck shit is fire, that's without a doubt. But 50 just won't accept the albums. Purple Punch, damn, I haven't tried Purple Punch yet, man. Really, Nightman? That's crazy. I never really get too much blue shit, man. It's unfortunate. Wish I could. I wish I could, you know what I mean? But like blueberry, lemon, I never really get my hands on that too frequently. I never get my hands on that shit too frequently. I wish I could though, because that shit is like I one time I had this weed called Blue Magic. It was absolutely fire. Also, some lemon. What was it? Lemon. I don't think it was lemon OG. DeAndre, you're a smart man. I was actually talking about that a little bit earlier. I don't know if you missed the live stream earlier, but I was definitely talking about the fact that Young Buck put him in. He put himself in position to get, screwed over again. He was already signed and got out of a deal with 50 Cent where he wasn't able to release his albums in the way that he wanted to. 50 kept denying him. 50 said, "You owe me albums, this, that, and the third." He got out of that deal, but 50 was able to sign him back to G Unit as a group, but he also signed him as a solo artist again for 2 albums. So he locked himself up with 50 for 2 more albums, and it's like, come on, Buck. Come on, you had an alley oop right there. 50 was going to let you reteam with G Unit, rekindle your buzz, and then you could have went off and signed a deal with another label. But instead, you freaking handcuffed yourself to G Unit again. You know what I mean? You really tied yourself to G Unit again, which at that point in time really wasn't a thriving label. I really don't understand it because when Young Buck left, G Unit, he had all types of shit on the table. It looked like he was getting some shit on the table with Rick Ross. MMG was really popping at that time, but to sign back with 50, I just look at that as an ultimate mistake, man. White Truffle says it's definitely fire head and body high. Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. Also got that GMO dabs. It's fire. Yeah, man. The GMO, I had actually bought that last week. You probably seen it on the stream, no peasy. I'd bought a couple eighths of the GMO that was actually testing at 29%. 29%, you guys. But it wasn't as good. It wasn't really as good as the runts that I have. Jojo, what's that, bro? So what did Benzino tell you in your interview with me, bro? What are you saying, bro? Y- Jojo, what are you saying? I didn't get how you said that. Sorry, man. Jason says, have you heard 50 Cent's album called Animal Ambition? Yeah. Yeah, I heard it. And I watched 50 Cent pretty much put it out week after week. That's what 50 did with that album. He pretty much released it single for single. He released it single for single. Are you asking what did Benzino tell me in my interview with him? J Day's riding with 50. Yeah, we're all riding with 50, bro. We're all riding with 50 on this one, man. Benzino's just going to do a couple interviews, a couple clubhouses, going at 50 now because 50 decided to mention him on Instagram. And, 50 has over 20 million followers on Instagram. You know what I mean? 50 has over 20 million followers. It might be 25 or 28 or something like that. And you know what I mean? And when he says something, it becomes news. So when 50 Cent tweeted or excuse me, Instagrammed about Benzino, it went all the way out. You know what I'm saying? And everybody was messaging Benzino about it. That's why Queen's Flip and him had a conversation, I'm sure. Among other things, though, Coi Leray has her album out now, right now as well. Um, what did he tell you? Well, I did a few different interviews with Benzino, man. All you got to go do is type in Mikey T Benzino on the internet. But what I was talking about, Benzino actually told me personally, he was telling me personally about that incident that happened when 50 Cent ran down from the Hit Factory into his studio. And then he actually called him a car service because he noticed that 50 wasn't doing too well. He's like, yo, man, I need to get you out of here. I need to get you sent to the hospital. You know what I mean? Benzino's a good dude like that. Benzino will make sure you're able to go where you need to go, or in my case, Benzino will make sure there is some chronic in your Dutch. You know what I mean? I didn't really ever need a car service to a hospital, so I was good. You know what I mean? But 50's in a bit of a different situation. I actually was never around the source when Benzino was with the source. I was only around them when it was Hip Hop Weekly. So major different circumstances as well when it comes to being around Benzino. You know what I mean? Benzino was in a much different position when he was at the source. When they were at Hip Hop Weekly though, it was big too. Can't discount I can't discount what they were doing at Hip Hop Weekly, man. I really can't. So let's see. So Benzino could have been rude to him and been like, "What are you even doing here?" But he got him a car service. I got a car service because he had no money. He went down there to beef with Ja Rule. This is my thing with 50. As many weights as he lift, you would think he would have been good with these, referring to his fists. Benzino said, "I'm not making fun of him getting jumped. In the history of hip hop, have you heard of 50 getting doing these with anybody?" Benzino pretty much referring to the fact that we've never seen 50 Cent actually step up to somebody. You know what I mean? All we've heard is or seen is the Instagram posts, the Twitter posts, you know what I mean? The diss tracks, getting people getting kicked out of labels over the radio. You know what I mean? Nothing ever face to face. Benzino continued, he went down there to beef with Ja Rule. Oh, excuse me. So Queen's Flip said that rappers don't want to fight him. He put hands on people, but Queen's Flip couldn't really brandish any names at the time because, a lot of people just say on the internet that 50 has done this and 50 has done that and 50 has held his own, but they really never say any names. You know what I mean? They really don't ever say any names that 50 has actually gotten a scuffle with. As I said earlier, they even downplayed what happened with 50 Cent and French Montana. Actually, they flat out denied it. You know what I mean? They usually are flat out denying shit, So let's just be real about this. Benzino's got a point here, unless they're trying to say something happened with Fredro Starr and 50 Cent. But I'm not all too sure about that because I've heard things from both sides. Both sides. And apparently that happened before 50 was really all that. Or, yeah, I really got to look into that a little bit more. Got to look into that a little bit more. Benzino said, he's a rat in my book. I'm trying to make the point that I helped him. Yep, Benzino helped 50 Cent. Benzino really did help 50 Cent. I'm not going to lie about that. Benzino helped 50 Cent when nobody else would, you guys. Nobody else was going to call him a car service. You know what I mean? Nobody else was going to call him a car service. I remember the first time that I met Dave Mays and Benzino. I actually took a meeting with them at Hip Hop Weekly. They were so impressed with me. Dave Mays was like, "Yo, Mikey T, so what do you got to do this week? Where are you leaving Miami this week?" They pretty much wanted to know if I was going to be available, accessible to them the next day or two. At that point, I had lived in Miami, but I could only imagine if I didn't. If I didn't live in Miami, I bet you they were the type of people that would put somebody up in a place and keep the business going along with them, man. These guys were really about their business back in the day. Got a whole lot of respect for Dave Mays and Benzino. Major salute, major salute. We got Jersey in the building. We got Jersey in the building tonight. We got Jersey in the building. Nah, Benzino's a good dude, man. Like I said, Benzino's the type of dude that would give you the shirt off of his back. You know what I mean? Benzino's the type of dude that would make sure you're good if you're not, So I really can't say that Benzino's not a good dude, man. Doesn't that answer your question right there, man? Major salute to New Jersey. Free the wave. Free the wave. Go check out my interview with Saigon if you haven't yet. He actually spoke on Max B. Bro, don't be telling me what type of language to use on my channel, man. Cool it. I have a certain discretion on my channel, man. We have respect on this channel. You know what I'm saying? I don't really be going too crazy like that on the channel, man. You know how we carry it over here. So look at this situation. Look at the poll, you guys. Look at the poll, y'all. Major salute, White Truffle. Major salute. Free to Boss Don. Everybody look at the poll. It looks like overwhelming 50 Cent, 90%. 90% of you guys agree that 50 Cent would take the W in a celebrity boxing over Young Buck. J Vape Lounge, major salute. Major salute. Chicago. Appreciate Chicago rocking with Mikey T, the movie star. Whoa. Yo, bro, don't use that type of language on my channel. John or Jojo, excuse me. Come on, man. I don't be saying that type of shit on my channel. White Truffle. Boston, Big Avell, Max Biggie. I never saw that video, Nightman, of 50 on TMZ. Must be recent though, huh? Come on, I appreciate everybody for tapping in, man. Benzino went off. We got the 502 in here. What's the 502, bro? What's the 502 stand for? Uh Benzino went off. What you smoking on, Mikey? I'm smoking on some runts, my brother. Benzino went off tonight, you guys. Benzino went off tonight, y'all. Benzino is not taking any prisoners, man. And it doesn't look like he'll ever take 50 Cent back as a friend. But like I said, in all honesty, 50 Cent's relationship with Benzino was over when it was over pretty much right after it began. You know, Benzino helped 50 Cent out, but I don't think 50 ever really acknowledged him for it. Actually, let me rewind. Let me rewind because Benzino was actually talking about running into 50 Cent at a show where they were trying to make Green Lantern feel uncomfortable. He said he actually took a picture with 50 Cent after he signed with Eminem. He basically said that he took a picture with 50 Cent after he signed with Eminem. Now, that's kind of like, you're kind of like stirring the pot. You know what I mean? You're kind of, you know what I mean? You're kind of trying to show Eminem that you can be around anybody, that your influence is going to matter whether an artist is signed to you or not. I could see what Benzino was trying to do there. Okay, the 502, that's Kentucky, Louisville, Kentucky. Major salute. That's right. Um, that's right, Frank Harlow. I'm totally blanking on the name. It's not Frank Harlow though. Totally just butchered that name. Let me look it up. Jack Harlow. My man, Jack Harlow. Sorry for calling you Frank. That's the runts. That's the runts. Plus, Jack Harlow never reached back to me. So, obviously out of sight, out of mind, bro. You know what I mean? Could do a deal with KFC, but you can't lock in with Mikey T. I was trying to shout out the 502 and I failed miserably. Last sec laughing at me. I botched it. Damn, that's crazy, night man. I don't know if I'll be looking that up after the stream. I'm probably gonna roll up another L. I don't think I'm gonna look up any cop videos, to be honest with you. Wow, what you smoking on over there, Jay? What you blazing on, bro? Definitely appreciate everybody for tapping in and checking out all my content today, man. The content's been going crazy, man. The content's been going crazy. Hold on. Well, come on. You need to get. Newark. We got Newark, New Jersey in here. Yeah, I'm trying to go get some more runts if they got a deal on it this Friday. But right now, honestly, the runts that they have in stock is it's only like a 17%, so I'm not all that eager to go grab it, to be 100% with you. Yeah, I'm not all that eager to go grab it, to be 100% with you guys. So yeah, man, now I'm going to open it up to anybody in the chat. I'm going to open it up to anybody in the chat that has some open questions for tonight. Speaking of Frank White, bro, Jack Harlow should name his album Frank Harlow. You know what I'm saying? After Frank White, but he's probably not on that wave. You know what I mean? Anybody who's got open questions, this is your chance to send them in now. Let's go. Let's do some open questions. I want to answer anything that you guys got to ask, whether it's about the topics tonight, whether it's just an open question. I want to talk to you guys right now. Whatever you guys want to know, I'm going to end the poll because 50 Cent wiped the floor with Young Buck, man. 50 Cent really wiped the floor with Young Buck in that whole poll. Really crazy. I'm kind of shocked. I'm kind of shocked that Young Buck didn't get any support at all in that poll, man. Like, I'm really shocked, man. People were just overwhelmingly voting for 50 in the poll. Buck actually said in this interview that 50 might knock him out. So obviously Buck knows a thing or two about Fifth. Buck always looked at Fifth like that was his big bro. You know what I mean? That was big bro. I don't really know their age difference off the top of my head, but you could tell a little bit of the size difference aside from when 50 cut all that weight. You know what I mean? And Buck obviously knows that. He done witnessed seeing 50 firsthand more than us. You know what I mean? What do you think of the New York drill music? I mean, New York drill is interesting. You know what I mean? You got a lot of different representations of New York drill, from your CJs to your 22Gs to the guys that are really blowing up, like your Favios. Favio's out of here now, man. Fabio is out of here. But there's a lot of guys that have an opportunity like the others that I just named. And then you even got like really sucks what happened to the guys, like Nas and Nick Blicky. You know what I mean? Uh, Really sucks to see a lot of these guys getting affected by what's going on in the street like that. You got people like G's Gasoline though, but so it shows you that there's a lot of artists out there really doing their thing and making their name. Rest in peace to Pop Smoke. Yeah, and you got guys like Fab Don out there doing his thing. My guy Trigger Ock as well. I don't really know if you would label Trigger Ock into the drill rap scene, but I know Fab Don is really, really dope when it comes to any type of music. Trigger Ock is just gonna take over the whole scene though as well. Puff, puff, pass. I'm on the last puff of this runts though, to be honest with you, man. And that's some real shit. I'm on the last puff of this runts. But I got a couple more Dutches that I could roll up tonight. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that was a good question. Nightman, who you talking about? Oh, he hung with Mayweather. You talking about 50, bro? You talking about 50? He hung with Mayweather? Or was you talking about Jay? But anybody can ask whatever questions they want to ask right now. The floor is yours, y'all. The floor is y'all tonight, bro. Whoever wants to ask whatever. The questions are open right now. Definitely appreciate everybody tapping in with me, man. Hell yeah, it's been a dope live podcast tonight. However you want to do it, White Truffle. You know what I mean? I think Jack Harlow is definitely innovative. I remember one of my friends, this girl Smashly, she put me on her Ashley, you call her Smashly. Um, she put me on to Jack Harlow a minute ago. You know what I mean? I was a little bit late. You know what I mean? Sometimes I'm a little bit late. You know what I'm saying? M versus game. How far in between a diss will you lose interest? What do you mean by that, Lasek? Like, how far in between a diss will you lose interest? I mean, if the game gets 50, if the game gets Eminem to engage with him, it's a win. For him, it's a win for the public. You know what I mean? It's a win for Game in the aspect of his sales, and it's a win for the general public in the aspect of hearing the music. When we got to hear M go back at MGK, I mean, that's something you would have never thought you would have heard. And now we're looking at this whole situation with Game and M, and it's like this is something that we never thought we would have heard, you guys. I'm going to put it up as a poll right now. Who wins the battle? Eminem, the Game. Who wins the battle, you guys? I'm posting up another poll, y'all. Who wins the battle, you guys? Top 5 strains. Runts, OG Kush, Sour Diesel. Hold on. Runts, OG Kush, Dosey Doe, Sour Diesel, Honey Bun, Jet Fuel. Yeah. A lot of GG4, Chem Dog. Chem Dog's a good one, which that's just a mixture of Sour Diesel and OG Kush. That was gonna go a little bit sooner on my list, but honestly, I've been so big into the honey bun that I've been getting from the Cookies brand, trying to figure out what other Georgia Pie would probably go right before Chem Dog, actually, and then Chem Dog. Georgia Pie is amazing. Yeah, I got it up right now, and it's 50-50. It's 50-50. Vote in the poll right now, you guys. Mark Miller says, who cares? Game is done like 106 in Park. Joe, that's all good, man. Appreciate you voting in the poll. I'm on that. Truffles, Kilo, what up? George says he's got some Lucky Charm strain. Mikey T shit for 26% though. Def got to try it. Nah, I never even seen the Lucky Charm strain. I never seen the Lucky Charm strain, to be honest with you, man. I never seen that one. I never seen that one, bro. Have I heard about it? Maybe only on the chat, to be honest with you, man. Maybe only on the chat. But I'm in Connecticut, you guys. So I really only get the shit that is in you know what I mean? I really only get the shit that's actually in Massachusetts. I one time I was scanning through I mixed up the dispensary from Massachusetts to Chicago, and in Chicago at the Chicago dispensaries, they've got so many different strands compared to what we got here in Massachusetts, man. But it is what it is. We're starting to build. At least Burner came over and put a cookie store in Massachusetts. You know what I'm saying? We're really starting to build. I imagine shit'll be like California in the next few years. You know what I mean? Prices will get cheaper and all types of shit. But everybody vote in the poll right now, man. George says, I'm in Philly, so we ain't too far, 3 to 4 hours. It's open questions, y'all. It's open questions for the chat. Everybody in here can ask Mikey T, whatever you want. Ask me why I never interviewed certain people. Ask me why I didn't ask a certain question. Tell me what you didn't like about one of my interviews. Tell me what you did like. The floor is yours, you guys. Tell me what I can do to make my shit better. Let me know what you're enjoying about the channel, any type of shit like that, man. Nightman, M.A. Roxbury. Did you see the Batman video? George, do you mean the Batman movie? The new Batman movie? What do you mean the Batman video, bro? That's right. It's open questions, Lasek. Definitely appreciate it. And I appreciate everybody that's voting in the poll. You guys can vote in the poll right now. Make an impact. Vote in the poll right now, you guys. If you want, vote in the poll. It's Eminem, the game. Who wins the battle? Of course, that is if Eminem responds. You know, the game is pretty much blatantly said no matter what, he plans on dropping a record. The game says he's going to either do this with them or he's going to do it without him. So, pretty much the question is, you know what I mean? Will Eminem respond once the game drops his record? What record is the game going to be rapping off of? I got a feeling we could see a medley. I think we could see Hi, My Name Is. I think we could see The Real Slim Shady. I think we could see Lose Yourself. I think we could see all of these records in a medley of what the game does. George says, Mikey T, where are the LED lights in the microphone at? Well, I was thinking about getting the microphone because you know, my boy was actually talking to me about it. One of my friends, that's an artist, actually. My guy Dice was actually telling me that he had a microphone he was going to set me up with from his studio and shit. And I was like, oh, that's dope, man. I appreciate that. You sure you can just give me that microphone? He said, yeah, it ain't really a big deal. I was like, oh, that's lit, man. I appreciate that shit. Little things like that. Now, the LED board, I had a suggestion from a associate of mine that I really wasn't ready to move on just yet. You know, just because I really wasn't liking the suggestion. It was something about a wooden board with a bunch of lights on it. We'll get to that when we get to that. You know, but the microphone, possibly you could see that. I'm wondering what angle it's going to come from. We'll have to see. You know what I mean? We'll have to see about that in the near future. Let me see. We got some more open questions. Be sure to vote in the poll. Make your voice heard right now, you guys. Who would win? Who's going to win this battle? Obviously, when it happens, we're going to go over the lyrics. We're going to analyze it all here. Make sure you're subscribed to this channel so you never miss a video. Jojo says, Mikey T, where is your family from? You seem like a genuine man. No matter of color, race, and creed. Well, I guess I've always been from this Connecticut area. Connecticut, Rhode Island. My dad's family comes over from England, and my mom's family comes from like my great grandmother. My great grandmother, I believe they come from Tennessee. I believe that my great grandmother told me she came from Tennessee. So we do got a little bit of that musical root in us, I guess. You know what I mean? Young Buck is from Nashville as well. You know what I'm saying? I actually did a 16-hour drive to Nashville at one point, stopped in Knoxville. Mistake. I should have went straight through to Nashville and then afterward went to Memphis. But I was really just going to sightsee and really see what Nashville was about. I wasn't there in particular to link up with artists. I really just wanted to see what Nashville was like. I've heard so many different stories about it and shit like that. I'm going to be traveling to a lot of different places, though, you guys. Like I said, I was going to go to Jersey this week. You know, Jersey's only about 120 miles away, but I decided to go to Rochester. I'm planning on a trip to Rochester this week. Niagara Falls, Buffalo, the whole upstate New York, everywhere. So I'm going to have my camera on deck. I'm going to go there for a little work. Hopefully I can lock in with a couple different artists. That's my plan on doing all this traveling in the next few months. I want to get back out to Tennessee. You know what I mean? This time I want to go to Nashville for some music. I want to go to Atlanta. I want to go to the Carolinas. I know a lot of you guys said, Mikey T, come to North Carolina. Put it in the chat if you're watching this on demand. Where do you want me to come? I plan on linking up with artists on the come up and artists that are majorly known. I plan on doing a lot more blogging on my own, you know, whether we're drinking, smoking, working, shooting interviews, out at the nightclubs, whatever we're doing, just out at a bar, politicking because we met somebody interesting, whatever we're shooting blogs about, I'm going to show it all right here on this channel. So make sure you're subscribed. You know what I'm saying? You guys impact what is going on with this channel, whether it comes to a poll, whether it comes to a topic, whether it just comes to regular conversation. We're in it. We're in it together, you guys. So vote in the poll right now. Also send in, we're doing open questions right now. You should interview Starlito. Yeah, it would be dope to interview Starlito. I know he's from Tennessee. Would be dope to interview Starlito. I wish I had a plug on him. JoJo says, come to Texas. Oh, man. Yeah, I got to make it back out to Texas. I haven't been there since Austin. I went to Austin, Texas, South by Southwest a couple times. South by Southwest. I drove through there with the Sprinter with Compton Menace. You know what I mean? I drove through with a Sprinter with Compton Menace, and we actually stopped in Houston, I want to say as well. You know, it was just a great experience in Texas. I got to get it back out there. When I was out there, I actually was able to meet Slim Thug. I was able to meet Lil Flip. You know what I mean? I actually went out there another time with Dirty O and my brother from Niagara Falls, actually, who I hope to see this upcoming week. And we actually went to the Sue Surf and Geechee Gotti battle. We were with Sharon from Wild and Out. Hollow the Don was there. All types of crazy, great moments in Texas, you guys. Another place I really come downtown Brooklyn. Yeah, man, downtown Brooklyn. Huh. I haven't been to Brooklyn really since I interviewed 22G's actually. Yeah, 22G's actually had me out to Brooklyn and I interviewed him in his building. That was freaking lit, man. It's dope coming out to Brooklyn, man. I actually went out there to interview Mike Shorey when I first got started in this shit. Crown Heights, I want to say. Yeah, you know, I've done a little bit of work in Brooklyn, man. Let me see. Pittsburgh, bro. Yeah, man. I've been trying to go out to Pittsburgh. You know, it's just so damn far, man. It's like 8 hours from me, bro. Like, Pittsburgh is a troop, man. It's a troop. You already know, JoJo. I appreciate you for asking the questions, man. Yeah, Virginia's sweet. Virginia's sweet, man. I've been out there. I actually interviewed Maybach Dice out there right after he started working with Rick Ross. I pulled up on Dice and he was in Virginia actually, and they had all those old gold MMG chains and shit. It was lit, man. Yeah, Compton Menace is my dude, yo. It's crazy to see how much, how much he's changed in the industry to the point where he's doing all of these movies now, man. Like it's so impressive to see Compton Menace like in a movie with, all these different famous people, just outside of, just seriously outside of the NWA movie. Wyckoff Gardens. I think I was in Brooklyn when I went to the beer garden. You familiar with that spot? Me and my boy was destroying some beers there. Yeah, no, I did not hook up with Paul Wall, bro. If I haven't, you should. Yeah, Paul Wall, the People's Champ, dude went to #1 with his album. So impressive, man. I'd like to link up with Chameleonaire too. Zero, there's a lot of people from Texas that I'd love to link up with. Whoa, that's crazy. George McCarthy. Mikey, rent the iconic Jersey Shore house for the weekend and go live with artists. It would get mad views. I'm not that rich, bro. I don't really know how much. You're like, Mike, that wouldn't even cost that much. It would just cost like $500 for the weekend. It would just cost like $700 for the weekend. Literally, it would be like $200 a night. Well, if that's the case, I'm sure we could put it together. You know what I mean? But I'm not like at the point where I'm renting mansions for blogs. You know what I mean? I'm really not at that point. When I travel, I really do got to spend better because you really, for the way you go to Miami, stay on the beach, you could really get a whole Airbnb crib that has a pool and everything at it. You know what I mean? So when you travel, you really got to be smart about that shit. You really got to be smart about that shit. You know what I mean? Like, but it's cool to be in the loop, but it's also cool to have a spot where you can just be chilling out and shit. Cause you can't be smoking up like crazy when you're at the Catalina Hotel in Miami South Beach. You know what I mean? Yeah, the beer gardens next to Farragut Projects. I was there at the beer garden, man. It was pretty sweet. They had like this champagne beer. It was pretty awesome, man. Lasek says Paul Wall was the first artist that I seen perform in OC, Maryland. You ever interview Ace Hood? Yeah, I actually have interviewed Ace Hood before. I actually interviewed Ace Hood outside of one of his performances. Him and DJ Khaled, they pulled up to Mansion. They pulled up to Mansion nightclub, right? They pulled up to the Mansion nightclub, and so I was like filming them getting out of their car, and then I followed them over, and then they went in front of the thing, and then they answered a few questions for everybody, and I pretty much filmed the night at the nightclub that they had. That was back when Ace Hood was going crazy, man. So it wasn't really an intricate interview where we sat down or anything like that, but it was more so, he was doing press questions, and you can go check that blog out still. All you got to do is type in Mikey T, the movie star Ace Hood. I filmed him a few times over the years, man. Ace Hood really made a big name for himself, man. Again, I don't really feel like Ace Hood is underrated. You know what I mean? How is Ace Hood underrated when all of his albums, like look at Ace Hood's albums, you guys. Like Ace Hood's albums really started becoming a big deal. Like, so I really don't consider Ace Hood to be underrated, you guys. Like, let's look at Ace Hood's albums. Like his first album went unnoticed. Gutta, right? So he drops Gutta. He dropped Gutta in 2008. But then by 2009, Ruthless, he dropped Ruthless 2009. Maybe that wasn't the one either. Because yeah, Ruthless only sold 20,000 copies first week. Blood, Sweat, and Tears 2011. I was out in Miami for that. And this is the album where he pretty much came in with Hustle Hard, Go and Get It, Body to Body. Let's see how he followed that one up. How did he follow up Blood, Sweat, and Tears? I remember Trials and Tribulations. Trials and Tribulations, Bugatti, We Out Here. You know what I'm saying? So he really had two albums. Mr. Hood, Mr. Hood was supposed to come out after that, but it really didn't do anything. You know what I mean? So he really had two albums where he really got to show his talent and really, show himself to the world. He had two underappreciated albums before that with Gutta and Ruthless. Interview MOP. Yeah, man. I used to speak with Billy Danz actually back in the day. Billy Danz actually had a producer website that he was working on. So I was spoke to Billy Danz a few times, but we could really never get together and interview. At that point in time, I was so, I was so compelled to shoot an interview in person with somebody. Whether, I'd have to go and link with them in person. I was interviewing Ali Vegas. I was interviewing AZ. You know what I'm saying? I would interview these guys in person though. You know what I mean? I really didn't want to do the Zoom interviews, which I'm so cool with doing now. Or back then, it would have probably had to been over Skype, and it would have been so much easier. But I was so compelled to actually shoot interviews in person. I kind of look back on that and regret it a little bit. All the interviews that I turned down based on the fact that I would want to go do them in person. Look up Dub City from Wyckoff PJ's Brooklyn. Dub City. Bro, Nightman, DM me Dub City's joint, man. I mean, or I could look it up. I'll take a look into it, man. See if I can see what's going on with him. I bought Benny the Butcher's new album, Plugs 2. Well, you got to go get the new album, Jason, called Tana Talk 4. That's the new joint. You as cold as ice. Yeah, MOP is lit. That's one of my favorite ones right there. Oh, Nightman. That's dope, man. When I see my cousin Fame, I'm gonna drop it in his ear. Yeah, man, that was another thing, because I kind of wanted them both together. so I need to be reasonable. You're not always going to get both the guys together. When I had actually interviewed one half of Field Mob, I got to interview Smoke. You know what I mean? But I didn't get to interview the other dude from Field Mob. So you really got to be considerate to that, man. You got to take what you can get. I would love to interview Billy or Fame, to be 100%, man. Being underrated means people overlooking your ability in a certain category. So yeah, if people overlooked Ace rapping ability, he is underrated. But Kendall, I really don't feel like they overlooked Ace's rapping ability, because at a certain point in time, Ace Hood commanded everybody's attention. You know what I mean? Ace Hood was one of the artists that would, like, he at first it was like, Khaled, why are you putting Ace Hood on the joint? Okay, we understand why Ross is on the joint. We understand why Little Wayne is on the joint and all these, but why is Ace Hood on the joint? It was kind of like, you know what I mean, what the Game's brother was doing with Game, putting him on joints with all these other rappers that were famed. You know what I mean? But now, when Ace Hood started to break out with that "Go and Get It," you know what I mean? With the blood, sweat, and tears, with the trials and tribulations, when he did the "Woke Up in a New Bugatti," people were just going crazy. It was like he was never gonna leave. But after that, he kind of faded out a little bit. Don't really know what happened there. But point is, Ace Hood had his time in the shine. He had his time to shine. Reality, I'm gonna probably say Ace Hood had more time to shine than Lloyd Banks. You know what I mean? Banks was kind of over after his second album as well. So maybe I'm wrong about that, because Banks had the Beg for Mercy time to shine. Then he had the On Fire, Hunger for More time to shine, and then he had just a little bit more time to shine when, yeah. So switch that up. He had a little bit more time to shine. La Sec, no, he had a little bit more time to shine when Hands Up and all those records like Help came out. And then he even got a little bit more of a lifeline when Joel Santana and him locked in for Beamer, Benz, or Bentley. George says, if I could get to interview one artist in my life, it would be Rakim, for real. If I could get to interview one person, for real, like if I could actually get the opportunity to interview one person for real, where he actually sat down and we actually discussed things about his career, one of the best interviews you could get would probably be Diddy, Puff Daddy. You know what I mean? To detail all of the storied history of Bad Boy Records. You know what I mean? That would be a dope conversation right there. Rotten Apple, yeah, it was underwhelming. Hands Up, well, Hands Up was great in my opinion. It was a better record than On Fire. And then he had Help with Carrie Hilson, but at that point it was kind of like, yo, who is Carrie Hilson? You know what I mean? Banks's work given, you know what I mean, working with this girl who nobody really knows at that point. I'm pretty sure she wasn't all that famous back then. Because it really didn't make me jump out of my seat to see Banks working with her back then. Um, Kind of like when 50 worked with the chick from the Pussycat Dolls, Nicole Scherzinger. It's like, okay, you know what I mean? But you take it for what it is. Let me see. Let me see. Kendall says, think about it. People didn't appreciate Jada in the mainstream before the verses against Dipset, and people now appreciate Jada after his verses against Crack. And now people appreciate Ja after his verses against Crack. I see the difference in that though, is that like the interest in Ja Rule is already quickly faded. You know what I mean? So to debunk that, I guess, Jada did get buzz off of the verses, but Jada also never really lost his interest factor. You know what I mean? I've been to Jadakiss performances solo. I've been to Jadakiss D Block performances. I've been to Jadakiss performances with Fabulous. Jada has found a way to recreate himself so much through the years. You know what I mean? He's found a way to recreate himself so much through the years, whereas Ja Rule never found that way to recreate himself. You know, the verses did some good, it put him in a good light, but it really isn't anything he's been able to, you know, keep going. You know, he's not really getting any further positioning out of it. Jason says, I like D Block Jadakiss. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, Locks Jadakiss, D Block Jadakiss. Definitely not the last kiss Jadakiss, but it is what it is, you know what I mean? You can't take away from that trilogy, man. You can't take away from that trilogy that Jadakiss had right there, those albums. Let me check out this poll, man. So the poll is posted. Who wins the battle, Eminem or the game? I want everybody to vote. We only have 18 votes in the poll right now. So I need everybody to vote in this poll. The game pretty much explained why he's going at Eminem. Short answer, 50 Cent can't rap. That's the short answer as to why he's actually going at that's the short answer as to why the game is going at Eminem, because 50 Cent can't rap. 50 Cent can produce a television show. 50 Cent can do all of that when it comes to the motion pictures. 50 raps, but he knows he can't hold a candle to the game, is pretty much what the game is saying. You know, the game is really high on himself when it comes to these diss records, or when it just comes to records in general. You know what I mean? The game feels like he could wrap circles around 50 Cent, even though the narrative is pretty much 50 Cent made your career. The narrative is pretty much 50 Cent wrote your two singles. So I don't get why the game is going on these interviews on all these platforms and saying 50 Cent can't rap. 50 Cent can't go against the game. 50 Cent doesn't want it with the game. Come on, man. Let's be honest, man. 50 Cent absolutely can rap. Is 50 Cent interested in dissing you? Why did 50 Cent very rarely diss the game before the Doctor's Advocate came out? Probably because he wanted to collect the check off of that album. And 50, even though he had no participation in with the album other than probably clearing it for release, if 50 made money off of that album, he made money off of it. That album sold 360,000 copies first week without 50 Cent involved. So 50 didn't even have to do any work. The work from the documentary probably carried over if he was actually paid for it, man. Yep, Sheik Luch and Styles P. Styles P, without a doubt, you know, one of the best rappers in the game. Sheik Luch really proved himself too, that he could, you know, run with those wolves. You know what I mean? Sheik Luch made a really major point in his career to show that he could release albums to stand up alongside those guys. I really respect what Sheik did, releasing all those albums, getting those different distribution deals. You know what I mean? I really do respect Sheik Luch for doing that. You know, Jay Hood had told me in an interview that Sheik Luch was running around getting all the D Block deals and shit like that. You know, so Sheik Luch has really cemented his name in the game, even doing the Woo Block joints. You know what I mean? I think they did 2 of those, right? Um, Kendall says Game didn't fall off after leaving June. It sounded crazy. Game's album are fire, especially Jesus Peace. And like I just said, Kendall, when the Game left G Unit, he was still able to sell 360,000 units first week. Now this is 220,000 units under what he had done. And by the third album, LAX, he only moved 226,000 copies first week. So the game's sales kept on declining every single album. Uh, Yeah, I don't really know what to make of the fact that the game's albums kept declining every single time. Jojo asks, "What's your thoughts on Nas? Because to me, he is the realest rapper I've seen since Tupac." Nas is a dope artist, man. You know what I mean? What do I got to say about Nas? You know what I mean? Nas is a dope MC, man. Seeing him come up alongside some of the guys, hearing some of the stories about, the people like 50 Cent, the people like Cormega, the Bravehearts, you know what I mean? Some of the early Nas stories and shit like that. Um, seeing seeing Nas actually appear alongside Murder Inc. at a certain point in time on that song called "The Pledge." You know what I mean? I was really wondering at one point, would Nas eventually sign with Murder Inc.? Nope. He didn't end up signing with Irv, even though they had an amazing relationship. He ended up signing with Jay. You know what I mean? He ended up signing with Jay, and they did the whole Black Republicans thing. You know what I mean? It was a really major signing, in my opinion. Nas went on to put out a bunch of albums, and then Nas actually went on to be a major innovator in the game, where he has now found himself alongside Jay-Z once again. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people say, "Oh, well, Nas um, signed to Jay-Z. Nas signed to Jay-Z, so that says a lot about where their beef went." Well, Nas, went to find a lot of success, man. And at that point, as I was saying, it looked like Nas was about to sign with Irv Gotti. So the fact that he signed with Jay-Z, it was not that big of a deal. Who put Nas on? Who put Nas on? Well, that's a question for another day, my brother. Oh, Bump J from Chicago. It's interesting, man, that you say that. It's interesting that you say that because, I've interviewed Bump J from Major Figures a few times, and every time I interview Bump J, every single time I interview Bump J, you guys, it gets brought up, Bump J from Chicago. So that's interesting that you say that. About to twist me up some more runts, you guys. Oh, Ryan Jeffrey says he stopped listening to Game when he got kicked out of G Unit. A lot of people did, man. Like I said, his album actually declined in sales. His album sales actually declined drastically. Over 220,000 fans did not buy the second album. Over 220,000 of the fans. So he went from 580,000 sales to 360,000 in sales, man. His sales just dramatically decreased. I can only imagine how he felt about that. I mean, he's still gotta probably feel like, okay, I got a major album here, 360,000. Yo, Mikey T, why was Ja damned if you do, damned if you don't when it comes to his music? If he would have continued to be hard, y'all would have kept saying he a fake X. But if he would have did the lady songs, y'all would have said he was, you know what I mean, too soft. Yeah. You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. Honestly, let me see, this is something more my time zone, you know what I mean? I wasn't really alive. I was like really young in the early days when, Nas and Pac and Big were around. I was 10 years old in 1998, you guys. This is when I was really just starting to come into retaining information and remembering shit. You know what I mean? So this whole situation with Ja Rule coming into the game and, being alongside Jay-Z and DMX, he had to set himself apart. He had to set himself apart, but he used a lot of what he saw from them on his Veni Vidi Vici album. He actually even had the both of them on his debut album. Ja Rule didn't really separate off as Jay-Z and DMX found their own lanes. Ja Rule just found a comfortable median between the two of these guys, But Irv Gotti, being the businessman, Irv Gotti being the creator that he is, he realized the Murder Inc. thing wasn't going to work. What did he do? He retained the name. Irv Gotti retained the Murder Inc. name, and he went on to form his own label and then go on with Ja Rule to shape his character for the Rule 336 album. A character that was unlike that of DMX, not like the suit wearing Jay-Z, not like the gritty New York with the gutter stories. You know what I mean? Mixed in with the gospel. Ja mixed his shit with the gospel still, even when he was into his love making music. You know what I mean? That's one thing he never really got rid of. Now, why is Ja Rule damned for making music for the ladies? You would say, well, Ja Rule, he flipped the script. He created his personality. He stood out from the pack. You know what I mean? He made himself. Now, the music started getting a little bit generic. The music started getting a little bit generic. You could kind of see that from the get-go with Rule 336, even though it was so good. You know what I mean? The from the records Between Me and You and Put It On. You know what I mean? They were relatively similar records, So then we got Pain is Love. But the fact of the matter is, on Rule 336, there was a happy balance between, some dope ass music and the records for the streets and the ladies, you know, the hip hop records for the ladies that really actually resonated with the dudes too. Everybody was messing with them shits. When you seen Ja Rule doing the video, when he was, in jail in the video and shit like that. So we move on to Pain is Love. Pain is Love was just too commercial. It was too commercial, but it was also commercially acceptable. Ja Rule had made his full transition, and he was damned by this transition because now he could never go back to being that guy who still retained the gutter image but also had the ladies from Rule 336. He could never go back to that. It would never seem familiar to the fans again. And that's why he suffered on The Last Temptation. And that's why he really suffered on Blood in My Eye. And that's why Rule was not a successful album, even though he tried to balance both acts with New York and Wonderful. So yeah, if Ja Rule didn't change, he was going to be nothing more than looked at as a dub, a recycled version of DMX. If he didn't, change his style, but he got a little bit caught up in the mainstream glitz and glamour of it all. He got a little bit caught up, and he really couldn't do music that was all that popular. I mean, he had I'm Real. You know what I'm saying? He had Living It Up was a little bit outside of the box, even though it was just Case singing the hook. But he had Always on Time, and he really could never live up to those records, even though my man Twiz loves that Mesmerized joint. You know what I'm saying? Thug Lovin' and Mesmerized just didn't live up to the records, man. He maybe should have held on to Always on Time for that fourth album. DMX said, I saved you. DMX saving Ja Rule. I mean, I would have to give, I don't know. That's not the case because DMX when as I just said, kind of when when Ja Rule was following DMX's career, you know what I mean, and he was working with them. I got a feeling that out of I that album was his least selling album, like first week. Veni Vidi Vici was probably under Rule 336, Pain is Love, and The Last Temptation. Yep. We need you in Texas. Hell yeah, man. I want to come out to Texas, man. Yeah, I want to come out to Texas. Yeah, no, Jay-Z was on Jay-Z was on Veni Vidi Vici. But yeah, Jay actually featured Ja Rule on Can I Get a as well, which actually blew him up to a certain extent. But yeah, that's true. Yep, Kendall, Mike Geronimo. I actually had Mike on the channel. I actually had Mike on the channel before, and he actually explained working with all three of those MCs. It kind of looked like they were going to be a group. You know what I mean? It kind of looked like they were going to be a group, especially with the fact that Jay Z had, been interested in doing a duet, a group type project with Big. So it's like, okay, Jay Z's open to it. Jay Z's open to it. The second best option to uh, Big is obviously going to be Ja Rule and DMX, but that never actually came to be. Looking at that situation, Jay Z was just on the rise. You know what I mean? Jay Z didn't really need to do that. Later, we'd see Jay Z do it with Kanye West. You know what I mean? But at that point in time, Jay did not need to do it to get where he was going, y'all. All Pro 206 says, hey, you know what song is crazy? Informer by Snow. People got to really listen to the words. That boy talking that talk. 100, 100, 100. Interesting, man, because I actually interviewed Snow. I remember I actually interviewed Snow while we were both in Miami. Yeah, man. We actually spoke. Yep. Why? Because what did he say in Bust? Keep on singing the same old hook. And then Busta actually flipped that on him. Ja Rule got that line flipped on him so bad because Busta came in with the "What would I be without you" line, and then he actually impersonated Ja Rule's voice, and that was done. It was like, wow, you just got Busta Rhymes mad, like for real. You got Busta Rhymes mad. Like Busta Rhymes was like back then. You would look at Busta like he was the happiest dude in hip hop. Not so much anymore. You know what I mean? Nowadays, Busta's jacked as hell. He's diesel as hell now. But back then, Busta would always have a smile on his face like crazy. Um, that Ja song you could argue Ja gave Hove his first mainstream hit, but other people say the Hard Not Life anthem. Hmm. And somebody also mentioned I Cry earlier too. I Cry, yeah. The Rule 336 probably had the best balance of any of Ja Rule's albums. Pain is Love was just way, way, way commercial to the point where you could tell Ja was never coming back. And then The Last Temptation just couldn't live up to it. He was just doing records that really didn't live up to that mainstream pop level, and it was kind of like, come on, Ja, you can't do that, man. You can't do it like that. So Ja Rule's whole situation kind of got messed up with how pop he was forced to go. Working with Jennifer Lopez, he got skyrocketed into a whole nother stratosphere with the record they did together. Yeah, George, Ja Rule had some dope skits. He had some dope songs. I'm not putting that past him at all. You know what I mean? He really did. They were doing some interesting shit. They were recording a lot of material. Irv Gotti even got the rights to release like Murder Inc. Presents, The Inc. Presents, where they were basically dropping albums with all the guys who didn't get to release their solo projects. Your Black Childs, your Cadillac Taz, your Dave Bings, all these guys. You know what I mean? So it was really interesting to see those, but it wasn't enough for me. You know what I mean? Back in the day, if you remember buying a Murder Inc. album, they had the inside of the albums, they always promoted the upcoming albums. And a lot of times, those albums never dropped. Black Child had an album that they were promoting called A Soldier's Story. I believe they were promoting Charlie Baltimore's album on Murder Inc. A lot of those albums never dropped, man. So it really is disappointing. How many times can we really believe a label after they're going to promote a project that doesn't come out? Look what happened with G Unit and Hot Rod. They were saying his album was coming out, it never come out. You know, you really lose belief in a label when they do that to you over and over again, man. Appreciate you, numero uno, man. Major salute for you tapping in tonight. You know, there was just a couple topics that I couldn't ignore, so that's why I had to do the double live video today. Obviously, the game explaining his reasoning behind dissing Eminem. I wanted to jump on here and talk about that today. But tonight, with Benzino just going in on Eminem and all the past situations of what happened at the studio between 50 and Murder Inc., I wanted to come on and talk about that, man, because Benzino got provoked. You know, he got provoked a little bit earlier today when 50 Cent pretty much put Benzino in the same boat as Young Buck. You know, like I was saying, anytime 50 gets an opportunity to diss one of his former artists that's, you know, kind of a thorn in his side, if he's got a problem with his former artist, he's going to take it. You know what I mean? And right now, Benzino is facing a lot of scrutiny on the internet from all of his arrest videos or the Red Roof Inn videos or whatever it is, or, you know, telling that Coi Ray did a record with Nicki Minaj. Benzino's getting it from all angles right now. Pause. You know what I mean? Benzino's really catching it from every angle. Every time he goes on a different platform and says something, it's like there's a mass amount of people that got something to say about it. But maybe he should be enjoying that, man. Maybe Benzino should be enjoying this part of his career where people are actually taking interest in speaking with him. In that video that was over a year ago, I guess, of him getting arrested, the cop said to Benzino, "You're 55 years old." Like, let's be realistic, you guys. Benzino's 55 years old and he is still making hip hop headlines. It says something, man. It says something to me. It says something to me, man. The fact that he's that old, still making hip hop headlines. You know what I mean? Benzino, he's doing something right, man. A lot of the headlines, mind you, are for getting arrested. A lot of them are for getting arrested, but a lot of these things, man, like 50 Cent, this whole thing with 50 Cent and Benzino now, it's a new thing now. It's going to be a whole new topic of conversation. He literally just ended the beef with Eminem. I didn't do a video on that, but now he's igniting this beef with 50 Cent when in reality he helped 50. We'll see if 50 comments on Benzino helping him. Do you all in the chat, do you guys think Benzino or do you think 50 Cent will talk about Benzino helping him back in the day? Or do you think 50 Cent's just going to ignore it? What up, George? Appreciate you for tapping in, man. Appreciate you for tapping in, bro. Okay, there we go. Good shit. Lobby boys are dope. Major salute to my brother Iceberg and Bella K, actually. George, major salute to you, bro. Major salute to everybody tapping in. Boston, what's popping? Appreciate you for tapping in. Listen, the floor is yours, guys. I'm taking questions. Anybody have any last questions? The floor is y'all's tonight, man. Whoever has any questions, man, you guys can ask them right now. Definitely appreciate everybody for tapping in. Let me check this poll out. I asked everybody to vote in the poll. If you haven't voted in the poll, vote in the poll. I want to know, who do you guys think has this thing, man? Is it the game or is it Eminem? Vote in the poll right now. Right now, we've got 35 votes. We still got 55 people in here. So y'all can vote in the poll right now. Your voice can get heard right now. Who wins the battle? Eminem? Who wins the battle, you guys? Eminem or the game? I want to know what y'all think. Who would win the battle, man? Personally, I think Eminem is gonna expose the game. I think Eminem is gonna expose the game. I think he's gonna tell the whole story of the game coming to G Unit in the first place. I think he's really gonna go ham on him, man. And there's gonna be nothing the game could really do to go at him. I don't think rapping on "Hi, my name is" or "The Real Slim Shady" is gonna do it. To be 100% honest with you guys, the game's gonna need to do something better than that. But apparently, the game has multiple diss songs recorded. All right, I'm going to end the poll in 60 seconds. So if you haven't voted in the poll, I want you all to vote now. That's right, the last 60 seconds right here to vote in the poll. Major salute to everybody that tuned in tonight. We got 35 votes in the poll. I'm going to end this poll in the next 30 seconds. So if you haven't voted, this is your chance to vote now. Your last chance to vote. All right, we got 36 votes, but it's Eminem 75%, and we got the game with 25%. So it's overwhelming that the general public thinks Eminem will take the game in this battle, y'all. It's pretty overwhelming. I want everybody in here. Follow Mikey T. Whoever follows me off of this video, whoever follows me based on this video, I will follow you guys back. I'm going to pin my Instagram up right now. And for everybody watching this video on demand, my Instagram is right in the description. Whoever follows me based on this video, I will follow you guys back. Everybody follow me right now. Hit the link that's pinned. I'll go right on my Instagram. I'll follow you guys right back. Hey, look at that. Mikey T got his phone fixed. We lit. I want everybody to follow me on social media. Whoever follows me on social media right now, I will follow you guys back. I'm going to give you all a minute to do that. Yup, that's right. They freed Gilly's IG. Gilly is back on the gram. 2 grams right there now. He's got 2 Instagram pages. The shit is pretty lit. So everybody on here that wants to follow me on Instagram, whoever follows me right now, I will follow you guys back. I promise y'all, whoever follows me right now, I will follow you guys back. It's been a dope live video, man. I had to hit y'all with 2 today. I had to do 2 live videos today, man, because honestly, the news was there. I wanted to jump on it and give my opinion. This is a story that I've actually heard Benzino tell to my face. You know what I mean? Benzino actually told me this story to my face, you guys. And I wanted to come on here and speak on it, man. You know, young buck going at 50. Well, he doesn't really want the beef to continue. You know what I mean? Buck really doesn't want the beef to continue. He really just wants to get his requirements done. But he thinks a celebrity boxing match could make a lot of money. I'm not going to disagree with him there, man. But will it ever happen? 50 doesn't need that to happen. 50 doesn't really need to put him in position to make the bread like that. But I appreciate everybody for tapping in. All 50 you guys that are still here, man. If you're not subscribed, I want you guys to subscribe right now. Subscribe to my channel right now if you have not subscribed already, man. Make sure you hit the notification bell so you never miss one of my live videos, you guys. It's the most interactive hip hop channel on the internet. You heard? So everybody, make sure you subscribe and make sure you don't miss my live videos. I will most likely see you all tomorrow night, 10:30 p.m. like usual. Major respect. Peace.